We are celebrating John Bonham's birthday on the pod today. I'd like to thank Casa de Haps for having the decorations up from Haps Jr.'s birthday party still. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. We're here today to talk about Goose in Spokane. There's Led Zeppelin. There's poetry. There's
all
fun night
kinds of
last
things
night.
happening. It's a fun night.
Very fun
Saturday night. Big party.
Saturday night special, if you will.
A little bit.
Some might say.
Some might say that. So can we talk about the venue, man? I've been wanting to go to this venue for years now because it just looks so damn cool.
Yep.
What did you think? This was your first time, right? You didn't go to the last one, did
you? Thankfully, I did not travel all the way out there for the last time they played in Spokane. But yeah, this venue is really, really cool. It's like, it's in the middle of like a park in Spokane, on a river as well. Like the river isn't really a factor when you're in the venue, kind of like it was in Bend. But it's there. It's just, behind the stage. But you have, I'm sure, and you can see there's an amazing picture that the band posted. Shout out to Juliana who took it, of the pavilion above, or the tent thing above the audience, above the amphitheater, with like extra lights that Getty was able to use during the second set once it got a little darker. So that was really cool. And it felt super intimate. The lawn is laid out super weirdly. Like there's walls and walkways, and it's very vertical. So there was a lot of people sitting down, like a lot closer to the stage than you would get at a normal show. But Garrett, who was at the last Spokane show, kind of called attention to the fact that there were a lot more people there last night than there were in 2023. The floor was pretty full. Spokane brought the energy last night. It was great. Kind of a smaller stage. The quote unquote B rig for the lights. The pared down version. Only the bottom of the curtain. No top of the curtain last night. So interesting for those of you following along at home.
A variety of approaches to lights, I guess, on this tour.
Exactly.
And I guess it all comes to a head when they get to Fiddlers. That's when you see every bell and whistle they've got.
Well, right? Actually, I think what we saw in Bend is the A rig, and that's everything.
The full thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of the A rig, it's officially MSG month.
It is officially. It's June. It's all happening right now.
Oh boy, I can't
Goose
believe
comes to the East Coast. I get to see them. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and it all feels real now. Like, the Madison Square Garden socials posted like, here are the concerts happening this month, and you see like Goose like being posted by Madison Square Garden. It's like, this is really happening in 4 weeks. Like,
it's really happening. The haters are furious. It's kind of funny,
who's not furious?
Who's not furious?
Us.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be sick.
Furious.
I'm really excited about it. To be honest with you, the show that I'm looking forward to the most is up in New Hampshire. I think that show is going to be great.
The night before MSG. Yeah.
The night before. And a long, long ways away from MSG.
I was actually Hannah and Kate, the Cowgirls, are doing New Hampshire as well. And we were talking about the other day, we were like, yeah, how are we making that drive? Like, what is the plan to get to New York in time?
The plan is to do all of your partying before the show in New Hampshire. No partying after. There's no hanging out. There's no fun. You immediately go to sleep. You wake up and you go.
Oh, good. You're on board with that? Okay.
Yeah,
good.
I think that's what has to be
We're
done.
leaving at like 7 a.m. Anyway, that's a thing for 4 weeks from now. We are talking about last night in Spokane. Super fun show. Not the deepest of jams per se. I think this is the lightest show improv-wise of the tour so far. But feels different than your average Vibes night. I think it's a cut above that, because it just, I think Moby Dick and the poetry are a big factor in that. I think without those two things, it's kind of like, all right, there's a 9-minute tumble and a 9-minute all I need in this show. But overall, like it was a really fun night. I didn't feel, sometimes obviously we know I can be disappointed, when jams get ripcorded or shorter, whatever. But I didn't really feel disappointed at any point last night.
I mean, overall, it's just a good show. It's a good show. They showed up. They had a show in mind that they wanted to play, and they went out and did exactly that. I mean, you got a couple neat things in there. There's a sprinkling of good improv in this show. There's also some amazing segues in this show.
Yeah.
Like really crazy segues in the show. So, it's a good one. Tour is long, man, and there's a variety of shows that you're going to see. I think a bunch of us are yearning for a super improv heavy show. This wasn't it. This was something else.
No, maybe Boise will get that tonight. But let's dive into the show here. We're starting off. Speaking of segues, Drive All I Need, How It Ends. This is just over 30 minutes of incredible segues. Like this segment. Shout out to Brian Brinkman. Is fantastic. If you look at it as a whole rather than the sum of its parts, it's a great way to start the show. The band is feeling good. You get a little bit of improv in the Drive and the All I Need. I like those kind of upbeat major key spaces that they're hitting. Similar to Bend, they're playing to that early evening. The sun is still out. Kind of chill out. Let's bring the vibes up a little bit. And that was what we got for the beginning of the show.
I love the way that the show opens up. I mean, you get a decent amount of drive there. It's almost 15 minutes of drive. And then you find yourself in All I Need, which gets quickly to a really beautiful space that I really enjoyed. That was really, really pretty jam there.
Yeah.
And then the drop in to How It Ends. It's just like, man, every time I hear that song, it just gets better. Right now, it's like one of my favorite songs to listen to. It's just good. Like the vibe just like makes you feel happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just gets better and better every time I hear it. Like I said before, the first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, it's okay. It's just another song. But now it's kind of quickly going up the ranks of songs I like to listen to a lot.
Yeah. And All I Need kind of coming off a long gap here. Last one was in Grand Rapids, 15 shows since the last All I Need, which is the second longest gap in the song's history, which dates back to summer 2018. Last time it was more than 15, but I'm guessing that this is the longest gap in the song's history because we have summer 2018 is where we start to have gaps in setlist data. So I'm guessing there's one or two versions in there that we're missing. But yeah, excited to see this come back again. Not the gigantic version that we're looking for still. It's been a while since
those days are over, man.
Super big All I Need. Like
I think this.
You think
there
it's
are
over?
a lot of. I do. I think they will eventually jam out All I Need, but I don't think they're doing it this year. I think they're going to continue to do what they've been doing with All I Need, which is you get 10 to 12, 13 minutes, and that's all you're going to get. I think there's evidence to suggest that they are kind of abandoning the traditional jam vehicles at this point, and they're trying to find their jams elsewhere.
I think that's all I need is Wisteria
and Drive. I mean, look at the gap on Madhavan right now. Like it's insane how long.
I wouldn't say that's abandoned. I think they're waiting for the right Madhavan. I was worried like they were going to do it in the encore last night.
Yesterday was the day to play it. I don't understand why they didn't play it. So then it makes you wonder, are they going to play it leading up to Fiddlers at some point? But, not focusing on Madhavan, but just focusing on the fact that the traditional jam vehicles are kind of not being used right now is a really interesting thing. There seems to be an effort to not put these on set lists. And when they do, they don't get jammed out at all.
Yeah.
Drive
I like
the other day. And
Drive I really like as a show opener. I mean, it's great. It sets the tone, and I like that it's kind of returned to that role. It wasn't really opening shows for a long time, and this is its third show opener of the year, I believe, unless I'm incorrect. I think Grand Rapids, Mexico, and then last night.
Yes.
So yeah, I like that. And whether it's 12 minutes, thinking of like, the Grand Rapids one was also 12 minutes and, had that like Ghostbusters jam and the segue into Doc Brown. And so like, I like that to start off the show. So that didn't feel like as much of an underutilization because that's kind of been Drive's role, but the All I Need being sub 10 minutes, especially because, the one in Toronto was also sub 10 minutes, felt a little bit like an underutilization, especially because it felt like that initial like major key space that they got into before the How It Ends segue, it felt like they were really clicking. So
I mean, it did feel like they were really clicking. I was like, oh, we're in for it. Tonight's going to be the night. We're going to get the jams, the big Madhavan and everything, but that's not.
Yeah, you were in full, like, it's like smoke or vape now. that was your mood last night.
Wait, what?
Never mind.
Okay. In any case, yeah.
Doc Brown. next.
Doc Brown in the 4 slot.
In the 4 hole. Amazing solo from Peter here. He did a good night on guitar last night.
Yeah, man. This song is just too good to be on the shelf as often as it is. I love it so much.
Well, it's in pretty regular rotation these days.
I mean, is it like it's like 10 shows between versions
15
at this point.
on app, right? So the last 2 have been 15 apart, and then 30 before that.
That's a long time.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they played it. So they played it twice in 2023, and it got played 4 times in 2024, and we're already 2 in on 2025. So I'm optimistic that
we get more Doc Browns.
We're gonna get more Doc Browns. Pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. I guess it's like Peter's practicing Jimmy Page licks, and he was like, I want to play guitar solo tonight.
Yeah, Peter guitar solos everywhere. Hey, listen, I've been saying it a lot. Peter's confidence with guitar seems to be skyrocketing right now, and we're getting more and more Peter on guitar.
Yeah,
and I think everyone wins when that happens.
Everybody wins, literally.
Everybody wins.
Seekers, comes next. I had to go to the bathroom, so it was a good time. I love how many different texts I get now when Seekers 1 is played when I'm at the show. Or I'm getting notifications from Blue Sky, like in response to the setlist thread, like, and there he goes.
Yeah. Did anybody get video of you running to the bathroom?
They didn't get video, but Seekers started. I think it was Haps went like, oh, and there he goes.
Amazing. Yeah, this Seekers, you knew it was coming. It was either tonight or tomorrow night. They weren't going to play it last night or tonight. Because they're definitely not playing it in Colorado, and it was just its spot was up in the rotation. So that's what you get, man.
They might play it in Colorado. They didn't play it at Fiddler's last year.
It just feels like too on the nose now. You do the Colorado breathe it in part, and it's just I don't know.
It's like, oh, we're in Colorado.
Hey, we're in Colorado.
Yeah, I can't really breathe it in Colorado right now because of my allergies. So
yeah.
Well, after Seekers, part 2 was hot. Felt a little longer than normal. I don't know if we have the timings in quite yet. We do. A little bit longer than we've seen the last few versions. I'm now looking at this. Shout out to our good friend Adam, who turned on the functionality for now. You can see all the versions that you've seen on lgoose.net if you go to a song page and you're logged in. I have been at the last 6 performances of Seekers in a row.
That's amazing.
That's pretty funny. It follows me. But yeah, part 2 felt especially hot. Dylan, what happens if you have to go to the bathroom and Seekers comes on? That's not possible. It's a Pavlovian response at this point. If I hear Seekers part 1, I need to go to the bathroom. Yeah, Garrett started playing it on guitar when I was at his place in April, and I had to go to the bathroom.
It's a good time for a stroll. You know?
And you know what? I went up to the top of the venue, kind of looked down, sun starting to set, very, very beautiful. And as I said, there's weird walkways at this venue. So
I noticed that there's stairways to nothing. What was that about? Yeah,
well, and there was this one big platform that you couldn't really access. Juliana was up there taking photos at one point. I don't know who designed this venue. It's super weird in that way. But it was cool to kind of go and get that vantage from the top, as opposed to being close down to the stage where the venue feels really intimate, being on the floor. So this is a cool spot. I would definitely go back to this venue. I think of the 2 outdoor venues that I was just at the last 2 nights. Bend is number 1 on my list for going back to, but I would love to go back to this Spokane venue. And I think next time we should crowd fund later curfew. How much is the fine to play for an extra 30 minutes?
Right.
Yes, Leighton, the lights leading up to the top were already attached. They are part of the venue, but Getty had access to control it, during the second set. Before we get to the second set, the meat, if you will,
I was going to say, this is the highlight of the show here. These 2.
The Mascanada and the Animal. Mascanada started, and I was kind of like, okay, weird pick. And then in 10 minutes, they cover an incredible amount of ground here. Once again, as we say, almost every show at this point, shout out to Cotter for that double time shift. That's when everything gets unlocked. That's when they get into this going down the road, feeling bad type of space for a bit.
That jam is so good.
It's great. And then you get the Saints. Rick almost does it and then like goes away from it for a while and then comes back and did it. And like for me, when that happens, because I'm recording the teases as they happen, like I'm like, just play the riff. Like you want to, you're thinking about it, just do it.
just do it and get it over with so we can
like,
note it, move on.
Exactly. It's like, thank you, Rick, for playing Saints. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this Mascanada?
I mean, Mascanada, I'm on record as saying it's one of my favorite Goose covers. I don't know why, but the improv that comes out of this is never lengthy, really, but it's always excellent. And this is one of the best ones they've ever done. We were kind of talking about that last night. The best being Cologne. That one's completely unhinged.
Yeah, if you haven't heard that one, there's
go listen to that one.
Screaming.
Yeah. What?
There's screaming, like someone's screaming in that jam.
Is there?
I still don't know whether it's Peter or someone in the audience because of how small the venue is. But like in that really chaotic jam towards the end of it, somebody's screaming.
Yeah. Well, you were there, so maybe
I wasn't near the stage.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, man, this is always excellent. This version is really cool. I'm gonna definitely go back and listen to this one. There are covers like this, like a 9-minute cover that you don't revisit too often
or
ever.
Mascanadas. I don't listen to this song really when I'm when it's not at the show. I definitely want to listen to this.
Yeah, definitely. So pretty great. And then of course, old reliable jam vehicle Animal comes after, which like
man,
this has come out of
song
nowhere.
of 2025. Like really talk about most improved of 2025. We were talking about this at Set Break last night. We were like, man, this song was like such a disappointment. Every single time it was played pretty much in 2023 and 2024, aside from Brussels, like for those 2 years, it was like, here's Animal. We're going to get 15 minutes of the same thing again. Peter's going to almost tease Welcome to Delta for 12 minutes of it. But now they're finding this gorgeous major key space in basically every version, and it still feels super fresh. This is what now the fourth one that has kind of been like this. I guess Grand Rapids didn't quite hit that space, but it was still a good version. But like Milwaukee, Mexico, Bottle Rock, even kind of got to that very uplifting space. But yeah, last night's is the longest of the year so far, just 19 minutes or so. Just man, this is so good.
Yeah, I've already said it. It is the reliable jam vehicle at this point. When you get it, you know what you're going to get, and it's such a weird song because we always wanted it to be a jammer. The first version kind of jammed, and it was long. I don't know if I want to say it was great, and then it just kind of stayed in that keep everybody fired up, kind of short-ish jam.
Yeah.
And that the shine wore off of that really quickly. So I'm excited about this song again because, like you said, there was a long stretch where it was just like, it's another Animal, and you got
one in,
like
one out.
Show too.
The 1 in 1 out. Rick was not quite teasing it. He did the same thing that he did at the beginning of the Mascanada with Saints, where he was like so close but just wouldn't commit. And I was like, just play the 1 in 1 out riff. It would have fit so well in this jam, but he didn't. And
so for the record, that tease not getting noted because the melody was not completed.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, that is a CCP, coincidental chord progression. For those
right, but it was not coincidental. There was intent there to tantalize you,
correct,
into thinking that you were getting a tease, but it just never got played.
Yeah, leading you on. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the first set here. A little bit longer of a set break than we've seen the last couple of shows, 35 minutes or so. Maybe they were just running Moby Dick a bunch of times. It was interesting, actually, looking at the written set list from last night. Everything Must Go was supposed to be in the first set. And we were supposed to get a tumble, fast, slow tumble in the second set, which I think would have been really sick. I think, they were sound checking fast, slow yesterday. The beauty of an outdoor venue in the middle of the city is that you can just like sit on a rock right outside the venue, the sound check.
And then cheat at Fantasy Goose.
Well, some people decide to do that. I'm not one of those people. Maybe someone who had Hollywood Nights for 8 points last night did that. Those
people, bad people. In a world full of choices, cheating at Fantasy Goose should not be one of your choices. But in any case, it does answer the question about Fast Slow. Like, was it a one-off thing? Is it coming back? And it sounds like they're actually going to put this in rotation with the other two, which is
I'm in.
insane. Hey, I have been tweeting about Fast Slow a lot, and I'm excited that it is just a thing that is happening because I love running to Fast Slow. It's just awesome. You get
You also love jumping to Fast Slow.
I did in Mexico. I'm still recovering from that. There was quite a bit of jumping going on, and I'm still doing it. It's brilliant. Too bad they didn't play it in this show, though. Hopefully, it gets played soon.
Tonight, perhaps in Boise. Get the Outlaw Field, get them riled up for the
They better
party.
play Madhavan tonight, man. I'm
getting.
Better.
Well, let's get to tonight predictions later. We got to talk about the second set. We start off Arrow Hollywood Nights Arrow, pretty classic. You want to have a good time. You want to play a party show. This is like old reliable for Goose at this point. And when they went, so Arrow kind of does the Arrow thing for a while, like 18 minutes or so before the segue. And then when Rick sang that first line of Hollywood Nights, and a lot of the crowd realized for the first time what they were doing, it got a big cheer, which is always a treat. I love this cover.
Not much to add. Looked like it was fun. Arrow did the thing that Arrow hadn't been doing for a while, which is nothing. Yeah. Just kind of 20 minutes of Arrow, and then you get Hollywood Nights, which just rules as a cover. It's such an awesome, feel-good song. I've seen this exact pairing actually more than once.
I think this is like my fourth or fifth time seeing it.
What, the Arrow Hollywood Nights?
Yeah, the Arrow Hollywood Nights. I've now seen 1, 2, 4 times.
Yeah, wow.
And that's also the number of times that they've done it.
So you've seen them all.
Yeah, I think I've seen them all.
I've seen the one at
there he is.
Mohegan, but I don't remember the other one.
It's a good thing Captain Incredible wasn't at the show last night because
Peach was one of them, right?
Yeah, shirts would have been off. No, that was Drive Hollywood Nights at Peach.
Oh yeah, right.
Last time played Hollywood Nights. I know Grady's baiting me here because of the private Charlotte show last fall. So technically, that is the last time they played it. But the last time they played it at a real Goose show that was like open to people was Salt Shed.
A real Goose show,
right? I guess it's a real Goose show.
Fake Goose shows.
Private shows are not proper Goose. Where's B Dunn? Gotta call B Dunn, the arbiter.
You didn't actually see Goose.
No, you did not. It's not a real show. All right, moving on here. Everything Must Go. I think that at the time, I think you loved this jam on stream last night. To me, it just felt
it was awesome.
15 minutes of just like minor key jamming, which is very good, but didn't feel like anything new or super exciting to me. I don't know if you have any different thoughts on re-listen. It didn't really stick out to me too much on re-listen today.
I think every time they play Everything Must Go, you get a style of jam, and I just love what this thing does, and I always have too. This dates back all the way to when they debuted this thing. I'm like, when are they going to jam it? And then the Stone Pony version happened, and there's just kind of been an arc of this getting better and better as a jammer. But I just love what they do with it. It sounds so awesome. And I've only re-listened once. I need to go back and get some re-listening in on the show because I just had to go back and listen to that Moby Dick like 7 or 8 times instead of actually going back and doing a re-listen so we could talk about this music because you got to listen to that Moby Dick. It's just ridiculous.
It's so good. Yeah. Sorry.
I was going to say, but before we get there are other songs that they played.
Well, there's a Redbird that
the most forgettable Redbird in the history of Redbirds.
They jammed it for around 12 seconds.
That was just mean.
Yeah, so at that point, why not just play Everything Must Go for another 7 minutes? Keep that going, or put Moby Dick there, and then you do a long, or I don't know.
So actually, I have a question about this Redbird. So there were some serious technical difficulties. It looked like Peter got an actual shock.
It may have been. It just looked like there was some issue with the cabinet on the Vintage Vibe. and then he switched to piano, and it seemed to be fine.
I wonder if that just influenced the vibe there. Like, yeah, let's not jam this.
Well,
Let's
I
just
think
do it.
looking at the time that they had left, also, and wanting to do Moby Dick, and then having an encore, like they didn't really have the time.
Did you
Especially.
catch? I meant to do the research on this, and I didn't. What the poem was? It was something about frogs and flies. And I just like,
Yes,
tried to
it was
Google.
Frogs by Remo Perini from a
Okay.
book about frogs. Trevor was in a frog mood last night, I guess.
That's it. That's the context.
Spokane Word returns. This is the first poetry reading since the last Spokane show. 118 shows. I don't know. Will we only get poetry in Spokane going forward? That is the question.
Yeah. Well, it feels like a guarantee that you're going to get it every time they play Spokane.
I guess.
What was the last one? Was that Peaches? They did Teaches of Peaches in the last one, or was
that was in Athens.
That was in
Spokane
Athens.
was the original. The footnote for 9/23/23 poetry is Spokane Word, original Trevor Weeks poetry, comma, an amalgamation.
Oh yes, I remember now.
I don't remember what that means, but
It's
I
just
remember
ridiculous.
I just remember that that's what I was given.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing.
So
and then about it?
Well, so the poetry happens so that you got this like ambient background noise happening. Peter starts tuning up the guitar, and I'd heard them sound checking Moby Dick earlier, so I was like, is it gonna happen? Like, is this it? Are they gonna do it? And they just bust into it. Crowd goes nuts immediately.
Yeah.
Peter taking the Jimmy Page parts, just nailing those fills. And then just the drum solo it's fucking insane what Cotter does. Like wearing the Bonham tank, on the late great John Bonham's birthday. We know Cotter loves Zeppelin. Shout out to Nico Suave and the Mothership.
Yep.
And I mean, I didn't notice immediately, and then I like kind of looked at him and I was like, he's playing with his hands right now. Like the first part of the drum solo is with his hands.
Yes. He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
I imagine that's a nod to Bonham. I am not a big Zeppelin guy. I've never been a big Zeppelin guy. And so I imagine there's some Zeppelin lore there. And if you know, please let us know in the comments. I don't know, but I assume that Bonham historically had played without drumsticks for some reason because he was a lunatic.
Because he's cool. Yeah.
So, in any case, the switch from the funny part actually is it looked incredibly painful, and it sounded like he was playing with drumsticks, which was really interesting.
During the hand part?
Yeah, like it did not sound like he was just like slapping drums with his hands. It actually sounded really good. Like when I noticed that he was playing with his hands, I was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty
good." I want to shout out drum tech Jordan, who was like looking from behind Cotter like a proud dad during the drum solo. It was a nice moment.
Yeah, the drum solo is not a thing that you get with Goose.
No,
really all that often. It's kind of rare. I mean, well, you get one built into Hot Love, but
different.
I don't know. The drum solos are sick.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little bit of one and give it time too, but this is different because it's like completely open ended, and he can do whatever the hell he wants with it. Yeah. And watching Rick and Peter standing over on the other side of the stage, like watching Cotter during the drum solo, it's funny.
Really funny.
Like they're just like geeking. They're like this fucking guy, and then and then again the smile on Rick's face as they when they get back into the ending of the song and they're ending it is really great. But I hope sincerely that this is not the only time that they play this song. I would love to see this become part of the regular cover rotation because they nail it. And it's sick.
It's not going to happen.
I can dream, Neil. Yeah, I can dream.
Rick does not like playing Zeppelin. I mean, maybe he
likes how do you know this? What other Zeppelin? Like they played Kashmir.
I just think he shies away from this type of song, like this kind of big guitar hero thing. It seems
that's like why Peter
he enjoys the opposite of that kind of stuff. I mean, and that's like a very kind of like fishy thing to do, like Zeppelin. I feel like they're not into that vibe at all. And I feel like Cotter being Cotter has forced them to play Zeppelin twice now. and he's going to continue to do it on special occasions, which is
I'm
great.
good with it.
Yeah.
I'm cool with it.
I mean, the Nico Suave thing at Goosemas was insane. It was absolutely nuts. And then, this is great also.
Yeah. I will continue to be listening to this a number of times per day for the foreseeable future because it's sick. So thanks, guys. I feel like we're not getting new covers, or at least like, a new classic cover like this, like of a song that like everybody knows. Like we got like the new Father John Misty tune last fall in Cincy, but like outside of like Goosemas, you're not getting a whole dump of new covers.
Right.
So it's cool to see a new song enter the rotation. Yeah. And then
10-minute tumble.
9-minute tumble, 10-minute tumble.
I mean,
as you said, they're not using the classic jam vehicles as much.
It has to be a concerted effort at this point. I cannot imagine that this is all a coincidence and they're just like all of a sudden just kind of chopping these songs up. I mean, what they did to Redbird, Tumble, and All I Need in this show is just criminal.
Yeah.
Those can be centerpieces of a show. They can be the cornerstone of an amazing show. All three of those songs. And no.
And they were not.
They were not. And so that kind of makes me sad. I definitely am yearning for more jams. I hope tonight is the night where they kind of show up and they say, all right, everybody skip this one, so we're going to absolutely burn it down on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And just jam it out.
Listen, the last Boise show was great. You got a great All I Need. You got a fantastic Wisteria that Neil didn't like very much. You got an Angborg.
I just didn't like it as much as you. It was a great show. That was like one of the best shows of 2023, in my opinion. It's like top 5.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be cool to see kind of what happens and, how many people are there tonight. Knitting Factory Spring 2023 was like 1,000 capacity room, very small. They're playing outside here. I don't know what the capacity is, actually. Outlaw Field, Idaho Botanical Garden capacity. 4,000.
Did you see Naveed's Instagram today of the
giant snake
in the venue?
So if you're in Boise, please be
snake.
careful. Watch where you're stepping. So it looks like 4,000. So I'm excited to see how many people are there tonight. Excited to be on the couch. Gonna be fun. Will we get the Monavon?
Will we get the Monavon? That's the story of the day.
What I'm thinking is, they're starting to set up Fiddlers. I think. Yep. I think how it ends last night is because they're going to play it again at Fiddlers. So I think we get Big Modern tonight because they're going to want to play that at Fiddlers. I'm thinking now, and they could just short rest Big Modern, like they could do it Vegas and then Fiddlers night too, because whatever. But
because they're Goose, and
my guess is that Big Modern goes tonight, or we don't see it until Friday.
I think everything's on the table right now. It's the next 2 shows after are the ones that are really going to be kind of like worked around so that they can get certain songs that they want to play at Fiddlers. They're going to play the whole entire album pretty much at Fiddlers, save 1 or 2 songs, maybe.
Bold take, given that they played a bunch of songs from the album at Fiddlers last year.
Yeah, I still think that they're going to show up and do almost the whole album. I mean, let's put it this way. So they're going to play Iguana Song either tonight or at the next show. Feels like almost a guarantee. When they do that, they're still going to play it at Fiddlers. There's no way they're not going to.
Same with Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing both at Fiddlers, no doubt about it.
And I mean, Your Direction, but we can go on all day. Yeah. Here's your Fantasy Goose Inside Baseball. Don't listen to me, listen to Neil. I've been having a terrible tour so far.
Don't Fantasy Goose Inside Baseball. Don't play Big Modern tonight. That's ridiculous, but maybe they do it. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's just a terrible take.
I think you're wrong.
Little Fantasy Goose Inside Baseball for you. Neil will have you not take into account what they played last time at that venue or city. You absolutely should.
Yeah, I mean, they've ignored it historically. They've followed it historically. I mean, it's not a guarantee. That's my only point on that. In any case.
All right. Well, everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy yourself in Boise tonight, whether you're there or you're on the couch. It's going to be fun, and we'll be back tomorrow afternoon, 3:30 Eastern or so, to recap tonight in Boise before the band heads to Vegas on Tuesday. Everybody, thank you as always for tuning in for this episode of Always Almost There, Day After Show Live. We will see you out there. Peace.